Let's look at example problem 4-56. Graphically position the links for the compressor mechanism shown into the configurations that place the piston in its limiting positions. Determine the maximum linear displacement, or stroke, of the piston. So if we remember from the notes, the configuration is going to be in its limiting position when the crank and the coupler are collinear. So in other words, when the angle between this crank and this coupler is 180 degrees or 0 degrees. They're falling along the same plane. So let's use AutoCAD to help us solve this. So if we look in here in AutoCAD, this is a relatively simple problem because it is an inline slider crank mechanism. So we know the limiting positions are going to fall along this line in plane with the point in which our crank rotates about and the point in which our piston is sliding linearly upon. So what we can do is we can take our crank and we'll copy it. We'll move it up here and we'll rotate it. We'll rotate it 30 degrees so that now, we'll rotate it 30 degrees so that now it's in the horizontal. Go ahead and we'll label this pin up. And now all that's left to do is to draw our connecting arm extended in a collinear fashion along with our crank. So let's look back. And our connecting arm is 100 millimeters. So let's go ahead and draw that. We should have drawn this in our second configuration color. Let's do that now. So let's go, and we'll draw this at 100 millimeters. And now here we see that this is where our piston is going to be farthest out in this forward linear direction. Let's go ahead and copy our piston over and place it in its second configuration. Probably should have copied that as well. So here we see the piston in one of its limiting positions. Now let's put it in the other limiting position. Now the other limiting position is when the crank and the connector are overlapped. So the crank will be 180 degrees shifted this way. We'll copy a point over. And let's make this our third configuration color. And now we just have to draw our connecting link coming from this point back in this direction, 100 millimeters. And with that, we see where our second limiting position is for this mechanism. So we take a look at what we just did. Right, we see that as this crank, as this driving link rotates around this point here, that the rotating link and the connecting link will be collinear here, and in that case our piston will be in its utmost extended position that way, and then as the driving link rotates back around to come to here, the driving link and the connecting link will be collinear, but the connecting link will be extending from this 180 degree position over here through to here. So now we can simply find our maximum displacement by looking at the distance between our first limiting position and our second limiting position. And we see that the maximum displacement of this piston mechanism is 90 millimeters. So maximum displacement is 90 millimeters. And there you have it.